Hello and welcome to another Jessica is ill and all over the place video. I did a public talk recently and since I have a compromised immune system, my body just did not take well to being around that many people. Now you may be asking, Jessica, if you're ill, why aren't you in bed? To which I can only say, I kind of am. This makeup is a lie, people. I feel horrific. Since I'm feeling terrible thanks to my lack of immunity and also too ill to stop myself from being overly opinionated on the internet, I thought I'd make a video about vaccinations. Sure to go well. I doubt anyone will get angry in the comments. Absolutely no one will call anyone else stupid. It's fine. If you're an anti-vaxxer watching me right now, all I ask is that you please hear me out and keep watching all the way to the end. If you enjoy hearing occasionally confronting factual information in a pleasant British manner, then please do tap the subscribe button underneath the video and make sure to also hit the bell to be notified when I put out a new video. Oh god. Oh, I think my face is gonna explode. How much Lemsip is too much Lemsip? I feel like I got a nose job, but it's still wonky. So, vaccinations! I've always been quite interested in vaccinations and how they work, but mainly just the drama around them. I mean, sometimes I fall into the rabbit hole of reading YouTube comments on videos about vaccinating or not vaccinating, and it's honestly fascinating how absolutely confident people are in their assertions. I often like to present both sides of an opinion in my videos, even if I personally come down very heavily on one side, because, I don't know, I'm empathetic and I tend to see both sides, so sometimes I sit on the fence and let people express their feelings. But not when it can literally kill me. Hi, meet my line. Also, anti-vaxxers, I know you mean well. I know you just want the best for your child, but sometimes the logic you use is insulting to people with autism and other disabilities. I mean, personally, I would rather risk my imaginary child becoming disabled than becoming dead. But it's just me. No. If you don't know, a vaccination is the administration of antigenic material to simulate a body's immune system to develop adaptive immunity to a pathogen. My wife has an anatomy degree. To break that down, so a vaccine contains an agent that resembles a disease-causing microorganism like polio or measles, but it's actually made from a weakened or killed form of the microbe, or a toxin, or a protein that you would find on the outside of it. But it's not the actual bad thing itself. This is then put into your body, and once your healthy immune system comes into contact with it, near magically it will fight the threat, destroy it, and not only that, it will then learn to recognise and destroy associated microorganisms in the future. Humans are basically magic. So the next time you come across polio or measles, your body just goes, whatevs, I've seen you before. And you're safe. That is the wonder of science. Unless you're me, and your immune system just rolls over and plays dead. So thank goodness for herd immunity. When no one is immunised, a contagious disease will spread quickly through the population. When some of the population gets immunised, a contagious disease will spread quickly through the rest of the population. And when most of the population gets immunised, the spread of the contagious disease is contained, protecting the few who can't be immunised. Me. Thanks Wikimedia for that graphic. Oh my god, my head. But you knew that already, didn't you? You know what vaccinations are, you know what herd immunity is. I am just background information. Also, I did science public understanding at A-level and I loved it. We learnt about how vaccines were first created when, in 1796, Dr. Edward Jenner noticed that milkmaids, who had caught the very mild disease cowpox, because they spent a lot of time with cows, subsequently never contracted smallpox, which is one of the greatest killers of the period. In order to test this, Jenner inserted pus from a cowpox pustule into an incision on the arm of an 8-year-old boy, James Phillips. Jenner subsequently proved that having been inoculated with cowpox, Phillips was then immune to smallpox. He submitted a paper to the Royal Society in 1797 describing his experiment, but was told that his ideas were too revolutionary and that he needed more proof. Undaunted, Jenner experimented on several other children, including his own 11-month-old son. Jenner was widely ridiculed, but had the last laugh because he wasn't dead. According to the World Health Organization, immunization currently prevents between 2 to 3 million deaths every year. Global measles mortality has declined by 84%. I mean, have I sold vaccines to you yet? Because there are some people who aren't buying. In 2016, the Americas were declared free from measles, but not anymore. Yeah, measles came back. So, despite the WHO declaring that the measles vaccine prevented an estimated 21.1 million deaths worldwide from 2000 to 2017, some people have stopped vaccinating their children. Okay, anti-vax people. Opposition to vaccination has existed for as long as vaccination itself. It's not a new trend. And there are a variety of reasons why, including sanitary, religious, scientific, and political objections. There are sort of angry voices on both sides. I mean, there's a lot of shouting. And often disabled or immunocompromised people are talked about, but we're not that often listened to. So hi, I'm going to avoid calling people names or saying anyone is stupid, which is what these discussions often dissolve into. In truth, I think we're all just trying to do our hardest to do our best, right? I mean, others might not agree with me, but I think we're all lovely people. Oh, it's even on my merch. What? I'm ill. I'm allowed to plug my merch. My head is killing me. So let's review. Vaccines and the herd immunity it creates are keeping me alive. Vaccines will also help keep your own child alive. Many people object to vaccinations because they believe it violates their personal liberty, their right to do with their own body as they choose, which, fair. Okay, sure, I'm a firm believer in your body being yours to do with as you please, unless you're hurting someone else with your own body, in which case it isn't. I mean, you might own your own body, but you don't own the air around it. You don't own the potential for cross-contamination. You can't actually stop that from happening. I love that the internet opens up the possibilities of coming into contact with opposing opinions to my own, and I really enjoy watching videos on YouTube that express political positions I don't agree with. I think it's important to humanise the feelings that we're often very quick to villainise. I genuinely believe that we're all trying our hardest to do our best. It's just that we veer off in different directions. I was partly inspired to make this video by an internet wormhole I fell into the other day. I stumbled upon this website full of parents' accounts of the terrible illnesses their children had been struck down with that occurred either around the same time they'd been vaccinated or months, even years later, but which they felt very clearly correlated. I read the descriptions of their illnesses that these children had been stricken with: excessive fatigue, headaches, muscle weakness and pain, joint weakness and rash that resembled a sunburn, a loss of concentration and numbness and tingling in her hands and feet. They all report that these seemingly normal children suddenly became rapidly ill and that the medical profession wouldn't take them seriously. And you know what? I've heard it all before. Go to any website dedicated to supporting people with a chronic illness, or hell, read the comments in most of my videos. We've been there before, we've done this, we've been horribly ignored and begging for answers as to how this is happening and what we can do to stop it, and please, oh please, can't we just know why? I get how awful that is, I do, believe me, I have been through it myself. You're asking who is the true villain, but I don't believe that vaccinations are the baddie. Might it be a health system that is run for profit and ignores medical problems it can't make money from? Yes, quite possibly. We've been ignored for so long that not only have we lost trust, but we've started to turn upon those who should be helping us, who are trying to help us, but who are working within a semi-broken system. Anti-vaccine is just a symptom of systematic lack of faith in our institutions. People reject established science and medicine thanks to a growing awareness that corporations are greedy and corrupt. How can we trust a pharmaceutical company that massively inflates the price of insulin and thus cuts off the supply of people who can't afford it? I get that it is difficult to then trust that company when they say they genuinely want to do good, and when they come for your baby with a huge needle. It is hard for belief that they have good intentions to be the default. But mistrust of modern medicine is a completely separate issue to the belief in Edward Jenner's science of vaccinations. Just please hold that in your mind. If you've read a discredited medical article about the MMR vaccine giving children autism and thus don't want your baby to have it, then A, autism is not worse than death, and B, those injections can actually be given individually. Also, C, your child might be fit and healthy and they might survive one of those diseases, but what about the ill child in their class who can't be immunised? Well, measles, diarrhea, vomiting, laryngitis, bronchitis, pneumonia, seizures, deafness, blindness, hepatitis, meningitis, brain damage, death. Mumps, infection of the testicles or ovaries, meningitis, pancreatitis, brain infection, deafness. Rubella, arthritis, brain infection, and for fetuses, heart problems, deafness, blindness, liver damage, intellectual disability, death. You can't control how many people your decision will affect. Being a parent is scary. So is the life of an immunocompromised person. Just saying. I've definitely terrified myself after reading all of that out, so that's good. Thank you for watching today's video. Please share to raise awareness and subscribe to make up for the anti-vaxxers who will now unsubscribe. See you in my next video. Mwah!